Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow seekers of growth, it is an honor to stand before you today to explore a question that resonates deeply within us all. Do you have the courage? Courage is a fundamental trait that allows us to face challenges, overcome fears, and embrace change. It is the ability to take action despite uncertainty, to stand up for what is right even when it's difficult, and to pursue our dreams in the face of adversity. Yet, courage is not just about bold acts in the face of danger or fear. It's about the everyday decisions we make to step outside of our comfort zones, to confront our inner doubts, and to grow as individuals. Courage is often misunderstood as the absence of fear, but in reality, true courage is about taking action in spite of fear. It is the ability to move forward even when the path ahead is uncertain or intimidating. Fear is a natural and essential human response to the unknown or dangerous situations. It is our body's way of protecting us from harm, but it is also a feeling that can hold us back from growth and opportunity if we let it. Courage, then, is not about eradicating fear, but about learning to coexist with it and still take action. In many ways, fear can be seen as a signal that we are stepping into something new or challenging. It is a sign that we are pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. Think of the first time you ever did something that required courage, whether it was public speaking, starting a new job, or confronting a difficult situation in your personal life. At that moment, fear was present. It might have been a racing heart, a voice inside saying you're not ready, or a fear of failure. Yet, despite this fear, you chose to move forward. That decision to act, despite the fear, is the essence of courage. Fear itself is not something to be ashamed of. It is a universal human experience. Everyone feels it, regardless of their success or experience. The difference between those who thrive and those who remain stuck often comes down to how they handle fear. Courage is not about eliminating fear, but learning to manage it and not allow it to dictate our actions. It's about understanding that fear is simply a feeling, not a fact, and that it doesn't have to control us. One of the most powerful aspects of courage is its ability to transform fear into energy. When we face our fears, we create an opportunity to learn and grow. Fear often leads to self-doubt, and self-doubt can keep us from reaching our full potential. However, when we acknowledge fear, accept it, and then act in spite of it, we begin to build confidence. With each act of courage, we reinforce the idea that fear doesn't have to stop us. It can be a stepping stone towards success. Think about the times in your life when you felt fear, but chose to act anyway. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting when you weren't sure if your ideas would be accepted. Or perhaps it was traveling to a foreign country alone, where everything was unfamiliar. Every time you acted despite fear, you likely learned something new about yourself and the world around you. And over time, you grew more confident in your ability to face fear head-on. This confidence doesn't mean fear disappears, but rather it means that you know you can handle it when it arises. In addition, courage is often what leads to the most rewarding experiences in life. Think of the breakthroughs in human history. They didn't happen because someone was fearless, but because someone was willing to take a risk in the face of fear. Whether it's the courage to innovate, to challenge the status quo, or to push through adversity, every significant achievement is rooted in the courage to face and overcome fear. Courage is the driving force behind many personal and societal transformations. To live a fulfilling life, we must learn to move through our fears rather than being paralyzed by them. Each time we confront our fears, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of more than we realize. This process not only expands our capabilities, but also leads to greater emotional resilience. It teaches us that fear, though uncomfortable, is not an enemy, but a companion on the journey toward growth and achievement. The more we practice courage, the less power fear holds over us, and the more we are able to live authentically and pursue our dreams. Courage is not about being fearless. It is about acting in spite of fear. It is about making the conscious decision to move forward, to step into the unknown, and to trust in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. Courage allows us to embrace fear as a natural part of the human experience and use it as a catalyst for growth. The path to courage is not a straight line, and there will be moments when fear feels overwhelming. But by recognizing that courage and fear can coexist, we open ourselves up to limitless possibilities and the potential for extraordinary change in our lives. Courage is often associated with grand, heroic actions, but in reality, it is also deeply rooted in the everyday decisions we make. Every day presents opportunities to demonstrate courage in ways that may seem small or even unnoticed by others, yet these moments collectively shape our lives in profound ways. Now, courage doesn't always have to be about standing up in front of a crowd or making life-altering decisions. It is found in the quiet, consistent choices we make when we decide to move forward despite uncertainty or discomfort. Take, for example, the simple act of getting out of bed every morning. For some, the courage to face another day of challenges, responsibilities, or personal struggles can feel overwhelming. It may not feel like a heroic action, but it requires resilience and the courage to keep going when circumstances might suggest otherwise. Similarly, the courage to maintain a positive attitude in the face of adversity is often far more impactful than a single grand gesture. It is easy to be brave when the spotlight is on you, but it is much harder to find the strength to keep pushing forward when no one is watching. The day-to-day courage to simply show up and face life's challenges is a testament to our inner strength, often more powerful than any momentary act of bravery. Courage also shows up in our interactions with others. In relationships, courage manifests as vulnerability, the courage to be open, to share our feelings, and to express our true selves without the fear of judgment or rejection. How often do we choose to stay quiet when something on our minds needs to be said? How many times have we shied away from expressing our needs or desires because we feared what others might think? It takes courage to communicate honestly, especially when it involves difficult conversations or confronting uncomfortable truths. Yet these small acts of courage, whether it's asking for help, admitting our mistakes, or having an honest heart-to-heart conversation, create deeper, more meaningful connections and bring about personal growth. The everyday courage to make decisions, even small ones, can also dramatically shape the course of our lives. When faced with a choice, it's not always about making the right decision, but having the courage to choose at all. Many of us spend so much time worrying about making the wrong choice that we delay or avoid making any decision altogether. However, making choices, whether in our career, relationships, or personal goals, requires courage. It's about trusting our instincts and making the best decision we can with the information available to us, even though the outcome is uncertain. Over time, these small, courageous decisions accumulate and can lead to significant changes in our lives, often taking us down a completely new path. In addition to making decisions, courage is also essential when it comes to embracing change. Change, even positive change, often requires stepping out of our comfort zones, which can feel intimidating. The courage to adapt to new environments, adjust to different people or situations, or take on new responsibilities is necessary for growth. Every time we embrace change, we stretch our capabilities and expand our horizons, even if it's just a slight shift from the familiar. It may be the courage to change jobs, move to a new city, or take on a new project that feels beyond our current abilities. Yet, each change, no matter how small, serves as a step towards self-discovery and greater fulfillment. Another area where everyday courage is crucial is in the pursuit of personal goals. The courage to pursue something meaningful, even when the road ahead is unclear, is something that many of us face regularly. It might be the courage to finally start that business you've always dreamed of, to begin a fitness routine, or to take up a hobby you've always been passionate about but never had the time or courage to pursue. These are the types of everyday acts of courage that can bring about long-term fulfillment. The beauty of these actions is that they don't need to be dramatic or world-changing to be significant. Often, it is the commitment to take one small step toward a personal goal that can lead to massive personal transformation over time. Ultimately, everyday courage is about the consistency of our actions. It is easy to think of courage as something reserved for moments of crisis or intense challenges, but in reality, courage is something that can be practiced and developed daily. Each small decision, every act of vulnerability, and every choice to step outside of our comfort zone adds up to something powerful. These everyday moments are the foundation of personal growth, resilience, and transformation. By recognizing and embracing the courage that exists in our daily lives, we can begin to see how it shapes our experiences and contributes to the person we become. The key to living a courageous life is not waiting for a single moment of bravery to define us, but rather understanding that courage is built upon the cumulative impact of our daily choices. The everyday courage to face our fears, challenge our limitations, and pursue what we truly want can lead us to extraordinary lives, even if the steps taken seem small along the way. Courage is woven into the fabric of every day, and by choosing it each day, we unlock the power to transform our lives one small act at a time. Courage is a powerful catalyst for personal growth, and it is through courageous acts that we unlock the potential to evolve into better versions of ourselves. Growth, by its very nature, involves change, challenge, and often discomfort. If we wish to grow as individuals, whether in our careers, relationships, or personal development, we must embrace the courage to step outside of what is familiar and venture into new territories. Every courageous step we take, whether large or small, pushes us towards self-discovery, resilience, and transformation, helping us evolve into more capable, confident individuals. When we speak of personal growth, we often refer to our ability to adapt, to learn new skills, and to overcome obstacles that stand in our way. However, true growth requires us to confront the fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs that hold us back. It is easy to fall into the comfort of the known, to stick to routines, and to shy away from anything that might challenge our preconceived notions of who we are. But in doing so, we remain stagnant. Growth happens when we choose courage over comfort, when we are willing to step into the unknown, confront our weaknesses, and work through the discomfort that comes with change. One of the most profound aspects of courage is its ability to help us face failure. Failure is often seen as something to be feared, something that should be avoided at all costs. However, it is through failure that we learn some of life's most valuable lessons. Courage is required to embrace failure, not as a final judgment of our abilities, but as an opportunity for growth. When we fail, we are forced to assess what went wrong, identify the lessons to be learned, and adjust our approach moving forward. Without the courage to fail, we would never grow. We would remain confined by our own limitations, too afraid to try new things or take risks that might lead to growth. Take, for example, the journey of learning a new skill or pursuing a new challenge. When we attempt something for the first time, we are bound to make mistakes. It is the courage to keep going, despite those mistakes, that allows us to improve. Whether it is learning a new language, taking on a new job, or adopting a healthier lifestyle, the path to mastery is paved with obstacles and setbacks. Without courage, we would give up after the first failure or when the process feels too difficult. However, by choosing to face these challenges, to get back up after every fall, we develop the perseverance necessary to succeed. The growth that comes from courageous actions is not always linear or immediate. Often, the process is messy and the results are not always visible right away. But over time, the accumulation of small, courageous steps creates a foundation for personal transformation. Think about the times in your life when you took a chance, when you made a bold decision that felt uncomfortable or uncertain. In hindsight, those moments likely stand out as some of the most important turning points in your life. They might not have been easy, but they were necessary. Through those moments, you gained resilience, developed new strengths, and learned things about yourself that you never would have discovered if you had played it safe. Courage also fosters the kind of emotional resilience that is essential for growth. Life is filled with setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected challenges, but the ability to bounce back from these difficulties depends largely on our courage to confront them head on. When we face adversity, we have two choices. We can succumb to fear and give up, or we can choose to persist, to learn, and to grow stronger. Each time we make the courageous decision to keep going. Even when it feels easier to quit, we develop a deeper sense of resilience. Over time, this emotional strength builds and we become more equipped to handle the challenges that life throws our way. It is this kind of resilience that allows us to not only survive but thrive in the face of adversity. Personal growth also requires a willingness to embrace vulnerability. Courage is not only about facing external challenges, it is also about confronting our internal fears, insecurities, and limitations. Vulnerability requires us to expose parts of ourselves that we may not be proud of or may fear being judged for. It takes courage to acknowledge our imperfections and to embrace them as part of who we are. But it is through this vulnerability that we open ourselves up to deeper connections with others and greater self-awareness. By showing up authentically, we allow ourselves to grow and evolve in ways that we cannot if we remain hidden behind a facade. In the end, courage is a fundamental driver of personal growth because it is the force that propels us to take risks, face challenges, and learn from failure. It is through courageous actions that we expand our limits and discover new dimensions of our potential. Growth is not something that happens by chance. It is something that requires active engagement and a willingness to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. When we have the courage to confront our fears, to step into the unknown, and to keep going when things get tough, we are not only shaping our future selves, but also realizing the full scope of our abilities. Personal growth is a lifelong process, and courage is the key that unlocks the doors to continuous transformation, learning, and self-discovery. The courage to act in the face of fear is one of the most transformative qualities we can cultivate in ourselves. It is easy to hold back or hesitate when faced with situations that evoke fear or uncertainty. Fear often serves as a powerful inhibitor, convincing us to remain in the safety of what is familiar and avoid the unknown. However, the courage to act despite fear is what leads to the most profound personal growth and achievement. Fear, though natural, can become a barrier if we let it control our decisions. Yet, when we summon the courage to act in spite of it, We often unlock opportunities that we never would have encountered had we allowed our fears to dictate our actions. Fear is a common emotional response to situations that challenge us, and it manifests in many different forms: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, or fear of making the wrong decision. These fears can paralyze us, leaving us stuck in a cycle of indecision and inaction. But acting in the face of fear is not about eliminating fear altogether. Rather, it is about acknowledging fear and moving forward anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it is the ability to take action despite fear's presence. This distinction is crucial because it allows us to understand that fear is a normal part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to control us. Taking action despite fear often starts with understanding the root of our fears. In many cases, our fears are exaggerated or based on false beliefs. The fear of failure, for example, may stem from the belief that failure is a permanent, irreversible condition, when in reality, failure is often a stepping stone towards success. The fear of rejection may be rooted in the desire for approval from others, but the truth is that not everyone will like or accept us, and that is not a reflection of our worth. Once we recognize that our fears are often based on assumptions rather than reality, we can begin to challenge them and take steps forward. The courage to act despite fear is not just about tackling big, life-altering decisions. It is also about the small, everyday actions that add up over time. It might be the courage to speak up in a meeting, to ask for help when you need it, or to have a difficult conversation with someone important in your life. These actions might not seem monumental in the moment, but they require courage nonetheless. Every time we choose to act in the face of fear, we reinforce the idea that fear does not need to be a barrier. Over time, these small acts of courage accumulate and build upon each other, strengthening our confidence and our ability to face larger challenges in the future. Acting in the face of fear also teaches us the value of resilience. When we take action despite our fears, we often face setbacks and challenges along the way. However, each time we encounter difficulty and persist, we build resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks and continue moving forward, even when things don't go as planned. It is not about avoiding failure, but about learning how to navigate through it and keep going. The more we practice courage in the face of fear, the more resilient we become. Resilience, in turn, fuels even greater courage, creating a positive feedback loop that propels us to continue pursuing our goals and pushing through obstacles. Another important aspect of acting in the face of fear is the sense of empowerment it provides. Fear often leaves us feeling helpless, as if we are at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. However, when we act despite our fear, we take back control of the situation. We are no longer passive bystanders to our emotions or external events. We become active participants in shaping our lives. This sense of empowerment can be incredibly liberating. It allows us to see that while we may not have control over every aspect of our environment or our circumstances, we do have control over how we respond to them. Courage then becomes a tool for reclaiming agency in our own lives. Acting in the face of fear can also inspire others. When we take courageous action, even in the face of fear, we set an example for those around us. Our bravery can inspire others to act similarly, creating a ripple effect of courage and action within our communities. This is especially important in leadership roles, where the courage to take risks and make tough decisions can have a lasting impact on those who look to us for guidance. When others see us overcome fear and take decisive action, they are more likely to do the same in their own lives. In this way, courage becomes not just a personal asset, but a communal one, strengthening the bonds of trust and mutual support within groups, teams, and organizations. Ultimately, the courage to act despite fear is essential for progress and personal development. It enables us to move forward even when we are unsure of the outcome, to take risks even when the possibility of failure exists, and to persevere even when things get difficult. Every time we act despite fear, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of more than we think. We realize that fear does not have to dictate the direction of our lives. By choosing to act in the face of fear, we take control of our destiny and create the space for growth, achievement, and transformation. The key to harnessing the power of fear is not to eliminate it, but to act with courage in spite of it, knowing that each step forward is a victory in itself. Through this process, we can begin to see fear not as an obstacle, but as a natural companion on our journey toward personal fulfillment and success. Courage is not only about facing external challenges, it is equally about facing the internal battles within us. Often the most difficult courage we must summon is the courage to face ourselves, to confront our own doubts, insecurities, and inner struggles. This internal courage is essential because it directly affects our ability to navigate the complexities of life, make choices, and pursue our goals with clarity and determination. It is easy to look outward and focus on external obstacles, but true courage comes from the willingness to face our own emotional and psychological barriers that hold us back from realizing our full potential. At the core of internal courage is the ability to confront our fears without running from them. Many of us carry deep-seated fears that stem from past experiences, societal conditioning, or personal beliefs. These fears can be insidious, subtly influencing our decisions, behaviors, and even our self-worth. For example, the fear of not being good enough, fear of judgment, or fear of failure can prevent us from taking action or pursuing what we truly desire. These internal fears are often tied to our own self-image, and confronting them requires a great deal of emotional strength. Rather than letting these fears control us, we must cultivate the courage to challenge them, question their validity, and step forward despite their presence. Confronting our inner fears requires a shift in mindset. Instead of viewing fear as something to be avoided, we must begin to see it as a natural part of our human experience, something that does not define us or dictate our actions. Internal courage involves acknowledging fear and discomfort without letting them paralyze us. It involves taking action even when we feel uncertain, knowing that growth and progress come from pushing through those uncomfortable feelings. The more we face our inner fears with courage, the less power they hold over us. Over time, this builds our emotional resilience and allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater ease. Internal courage also involves embracing our vulnerabilities. Many of us have been taught to hide or suppress our vulnerabilities, associating them with weakness. However, true courage comes from the willingness to be vulnerable, to acknowledge our imperfections and limitations, and to show up authentically in the world. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. It is the courage to let others see us for who we truly are without the masks or facades we often wear to protect ourselves. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open the door to deeper connection with others, greater self-acceptance, and the ability to experience life more fully. One of the greatest acts of internal courage is the ability to forgive ourselves. Self-forgiveness is essential for growth, yet it is often one of the hardest things to do. Many of us carry guilt, regret, or shame from past mistakes or failures. These feelings can weigh us down, preventing us from moving forward and achieving our potential. The courage to forgive ourselves is not about excusing our past actions, but about recognizing that we are human and that we are capable of learning and evolving. When we forgive ourselves, we release the hold that our past mistakes have on us, and we give ourselves permission to start anew. Self-forgiveness creates space for self-compassion, allowing us to move forward with a sense of peace and clarity. Internal courage also requires the strength to take responsibility for our actions and decisions. Often we are quick to blame external circumstances, other people, or fate for the challenges we face. While external factors certainly play a role in our lives, taking full responsibility for our actions empowers us to take control of our destiny. Internal courage is about acknowledging our role in shaping our own lives and not playing the victim. It means looking at our choices, understanding the consequences, and taking the necessary steps to correct course when needed. This kind of courage requires humility and self-awareness, as well as the willingness to learn from our mistakes rather than shy away from them. Another key aspect of internal courage is the willingness to push through discomfort and uncertainty. Life is full of situations that make us uncomfortable. Whether it's a challenging work situation, a difficult conversation, or pursuing a dream that feels out of reach, we often encounter situations that force us out of our comfort zones. The natural tendency is to avoid these situations because of the discomfort they bring. However, true internal courage involves stepping into those moments of discomfort, knowing that it is often in these spaces of uncertainty where we experience the most growth. When we face discomfort head-on, we build the mental and emotional strength to tackle even greater challenges in the future. Internal courage is also about trusting ourselves. Self-doubt is a common experience that many of us face when we are confronted with unfamiliar situations or when we are required to make important decisions. Trusting ourselves means having confidence in our ability to make the right choices and to navigate the unknown. This trust is built over time through consistent action, self-reflection, and a commitment to personal growth. The more we trust ourselves, the more empowered we become to take bold actions and make decisions that align with our values and aspirations. Ultimately, internal courage is the foundation for all other forms of courage. When we have the courage to face our fears, vulnerabilities, past mistakes, and uncertainties, we become more equipped to handle external challenges. Internal courage allows us to approach life with authenticity, resilience, and self-compassion. It enables us to make empowered choices and take decisive action, knowing that we are capable of navigating whatever comes our way. The courage to face ourselves is a lifelong practice, but it is also the most rewarding. It is through this courage that we unlock the door to personal transformation, inner peace, and the fulfillment of our greatest potential.